Presidential election of 1860, held on November 6, 1860. This presidential election would become one of the most pivotal, controversial, and important elections in U.S. history. The election featured four major candidates: John Bell, Constitutional Union; Stephen A. Douglas, Northern Democrat; Abraham Lincoln, Republican; John Breckinridge, Southern Democrat. During the Democratic Party convention held during the spring of 1860 in Charleston, South Carolina, party delegates were unable to agree on a candidate to run as its nominee. Disagreement over the party's official stand on slavery led to the withdrawal of numerous delegates from Southern states, which meant no candidate would receive the required amount of delegate votes to become the party's nominee. The Democrats decided to hold another convention, this time in Baltimore, Maryland. The second convention was held over the course of a few days in mid June of 1860, and a significant portion of the Southern states delegates failed to attend. The Democrats, the Democratic delegates who did attend ended up nominating Stephen A. Douglas, U.S. Senator from Illinois. Southern Democrats opposed the nomination of Douglas and ended up nominating their own Democrat candidate, Kentuckian John Breckinridge. At the time, Breckinridge was the Vice President of the United States. To make matters worse, both Douglas and Breckinridge proclaimed that they were the official nominee of the Democratic Party. In 1859, a new political party was formed, the Constitutional Union Party. This new party's platform focused on ignoring the issues of slavery, along with a renewed devotion to the U.S. Constitution. The Constitutional Union Party nominated former Senator of Tennessee, John Bell, as their candidate. Meanwhile, another relatively new political party, the Republicans, which was formed in 1850s, held the Republican Party convention in Chicago, Illinois between May 16 and 18, 1860. After holding two votes, the Republican delegates had yet to award enough of a majority to have to any of the Republican candidates who were vying for the nomination of the party. On the third ballot, however, Abraham Lincoln won enough of a majority to be awarded the Republican nomination for president and thus became their candidate. Upon winning the Republican nomination, Lincoln's main objective for his campaign was to unite the Republicans and to try and avoid issues which may divide the party. Lincoln had observed how divisions amongst the Democrats had led to the party essentially producing two candidates who were now fighting for the same voters. In such a scenario, it was very likely that a split in support over two candidates of the same party would result in that the party's defeat in an election. However, the impact of the relatively new Constitutional Union Party on the outcome of the election was not yet known. The Constitutional Unionists could be a blessing to the Democrats if they took votes away from those who might otherwise voted for Republican candidate Abraham Lincoln. On the other hand, the Constitutional Unionists could make things worse for Democrats if they took votes away from one of the two Democratic parties candidates who were running, Northern Democrat Stephen A. Douglas and Southern Democrat John Breckinridge. After the vote was in, Lincoln won 39% of the popular vote and a rather substantial amount of electoral votes, carrying 180, 59% of the possible 303 electoral votes, enough to award him the presidency. The outcome of the 1860 presidential election would be known for a handful of notable and historical significant occurrences. It highlighted clear division between North and South in terms of their political beliefs, systems, and values. Number two, it highlighted the need for the political parties to establish unity and support behind one candidate. Three, it was the first presidential election which firmly cemented the Democratic and Republican Party statues at the two major political parties in the U.S. as the two major political parties in the U.S. Lincoln dominated the North, while the Southern Democrat Breckinridge dominated in the South. Given the population advantage of the North, Lincoln received both more of the popular and electoral college votes than Breckinridge. Constitutional unions, John Bell won three border states and garnered 13% of them, the popular electoral college vote. Northern Democrat Stephen A. Douglas ended up in second for the popular vote with 29%, but just 4% of the electoral votes, winning just one state, Missouri. And this is your map of the votes. Red is for Republican Lincoln, which are all these states over in here, as well as California here. Southern Democrats is the green, which is all in the southern area. And then you have right here, Maryland. You have the gold for the Constitutional Union, which is Vail right here. And the Constitutional Union is a part of the red people voting against slavery. And then you have the Southern Democrat Douglas, which is here. So if you take Missouri, and you put all of these states together, including this one, Maryland right here, you will see that that's the states that are in for or want slavery. And then your orange and red states are the ones that are against slavery. Now, these right here are territories. They're not yet a part of the U.S. They're, how would we say, unorganized territories. Remember, these are the areas, and you haven't heard that much about Washington and Nebraska. And this one is an unorganized territory. I stand to be corrected. And they call Oklahoma right here with an unorganized. Well, we know that it's been organized. It's just that it is for the Native Americans, and they don't consider them as people, valued people, like they don't consider the slaves. And here, if you notice, this is the lakes, the Great Lakes that we studied early on. And of course, the one on top would be the Superior Lake.